Hi guys, Greg Iden here, and welcome to a super short opinion. And this time I'm not going to talk about a movie. I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite games, well, for the PlayStation 3, but also, it was remastered on the PlayStation 4, is The Last of Us. Ooh, is that backwards? Yeah, that's backwards. Oh well, you can tell what it is by the picture. But this is by far one of the best post-apocalyptic story-driven games I've ever played. Not counting Fallout, or Fallout New Vegas, because those games in particular were basically exploration games with guns in it. It's Oblivion with guns, basically. This, on the other hand, it took itself very seriously, and you had Troy Baker playing the role of Joel, and he just kicks so much ass throughout the entire game, and you have Ellie in here, and she's magnificent, such a great character. Yeah. Also, the best thing about the remastered edition, is that you have all the extra DLC, aside from the stuff that can be bought, like the hats and other bullshit and some of the perks for the multiplayer, is that it comes with the Left Behind expansion, which is amazing, by the way. Loved every second of it, and I felt it was so short in comparison to the main game. I wanted to just so much more because I enjoyed playing as Ellie. Oh, loved her to pieces. Yeah. Basically, the story of The Last of Us, it's about this big pandemic of a spore-like, I guess, fungi, cordyceps disease. Yeah, that's right, cordyceps disease. Oh my god, I forgot the story for a second. But don't really know how it happened per se. It just kind of did, and it causes. It looks like it looks really beautiful and brutal at the same time. Like it's like a fungus grows on the inside of your scroll along your brain, and it like scrambles your brain up, and then it'll eventually protrude out of your head, if your body is still shambling around. And, after a really long time, you turn into a big old bloater, which is this gigantic spore, brute-looking thing that's just been around for, ever. It's horrible. Horrible fate. Yeah. And at that point, there ain't no saving you. Now, back to the story. Joel was at the beginning of the outbreak with his daughter, Sarah, and upon trying to escape their home in Texas, Sarah dies, and, he was also with his brother at the same time, but after Sarah dies, it cuts to 20 years later. You see Joel, he's a smuggler with this woman named Tess, who's also another badass, but was taken from the game too soon, in my opinion. I actually liked her a little bit. And then after that, he is basically tasked by this group called the Fireflies, whom he meets the leader, upon trying to escape out of some trouble. And she offers him a deal, deliver Ellie to such and such place at such and such time, and she'll hold up her end of the bargain. The deal's the deal. I'm trying to be vague about the story, even though I'm just basically told you the beginning in a nutshell. But that's all I'm going to tell you is the beginning, because the thing about this game is that it's the journey that matters. And while I'm not very good at explaining things, that's basically around about what happens in the beginning. And, after that point, it's game on. That's when the game genuinely gets really, well, it already was brutal, but that's when it gets just fantastic. You're engrossed, and you're just praying that they get to safety, they get to where they got to go, and by the end of it, it's just like there's so many tear-jerking moments. Not to mention, this game is friggin' beautiful to look at. It is phenomenal, especially on the PS4. It was beautiful on the PlayStation 3, and now with, the settings, you can actually change it to 60 frames per second or the original 30 frames per second. I like it in the 60 frames per second. It makes it look a lot more vibrant and clean looking and really a lot more fast paced, but the 30 frames per second it looked really gritty, and it kind of adds a little bit to it, just a little bit, but that's down to preference. It's also nice that they even give you the option to turn it on and off. I like that. That's a good one. Oh yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this. I really don't understand the naysayers about it neither. People saying, "Oh, it's so cliched. Oh, you know, totally unoriginal. Oh, this, oh that." Well, you know what? Hardly anything anymore is original. You can't make a single thing anymore that doesn't have a cliche in it, at least one cliche. While this does have its cliches in it, they are handled very well. They're handled with respect, and they actually attempt to go, you know, as far as they can without having to use those tropes. Granted, in the beginning, there is one that, you know, that pops up and gives it a reason for, you know, the story to keep moving forward. Of course, every story has that, you know, where the call to action, so to speak. Every story has that, and this one is not without that. But I'm defending it because it just handled it so well and with such great respect. That being said, second biggest thing that I liked about it was that they put the story above the multiplayer, meaning they wanted to give you the best single player experience as they could give you, and they did not skimp on it. This game just keeps you going. I wanted more when it was over. I was genuinely sad when the game was actually over. I wanted so much more. But thankfully, there was something else. They added, you know, multiplayer, and the multiplayer is phenomenal. I do love the multiplayer of this game. It is brutal, it's fast-paced, and it requires you to actually think and react, unlike Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a twitch shooter. It's all based on your reflexes. It doesn't actually require any skill aside from memorizing the maps, which you have to memorize the maps in here, but there is actually a thought process. It's it's basically hunting. You know, you're hunting another person, and you know, a good example. Talk about a totally different thing here. If you've ever seen the movie Jurassic Park, there's that one guy who's the hunter, and he's trying to hunt one of the raptors, and then he has one in his sights. And then, you know, around the other side, you know, is the smart one, the leader of the pack, just is suddenly on him, and he goes, "Clever girl." That's what this is like. That is the analogy to the multiplayer in this, is that you think you have somebody, but you don't, and you're dead. That's what it is. This game, the multiplayer, is an adrenaline-filled action powerhouse, and I love it. Love it. It actually requires teamwork. It requires, it does require good reactions, but it requires you to think. That's the biggest thing about it. It requires you to think. And honestly, that's really it. Unless you want to talk about the smaller things, like, you can outfit your character, and in the beginning, beginning of the multiplayer, you pick which faction you wanted to pick between the Fireflies and the Hunters. Honestly, I prefer the Hunters. But you're basically playing the same generic character, the male or female, his skin swap. The only difference is you're wearing a different hat and a different mask each time, and you have like little emotes that you can do that I never use. But other than that, that's really it. It's just, this game is so fun to play. I loved every second of it, and I highly recommend it to you. And if you want me to, I could make some multiplayer videos for you guys if you want to see them. Tell me in the comments below or on Facebook, which I'm most active on. You can tell me. And we're right at 10 minutes here, and I'll just leave this review here. So if you like it, like, favorite, and subscribe. And I'll give you another video soon, guys. And if, hopefully it'll be this, because I really enjoy it. Alright. Goodbye, guys. Have a good day.